In today's episode of the Deadly Dozen podcast, we're joined by the head honcho of DEKA, the one and only Yancy Culp. Thanks for being on, Yancy.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you for having me on. And I heard you say head honcho. Luckily, we got several head honchos now. Emily from your neck of the woods over in the UK across the pond is another one of our head honchos. We're in a lot better position now that we got the awesome Emily on the team.
Oh, I know how that is. It's the same for me. You need the real operators, don't you? It's the key, the backbone of the business. And yeah, me and Emily went for a coffee actually quite a few weeks ago now, which was great to chat about DEKA and Deadly and where we see fitness racing going. And I'm really excited actually to get Emily down at the new place, the new institute where we've just become DEKA affiliates. Yeah. So very excited about that. But yeah, I'll get Emily down, get the team down, and hopefully be able to get you over, Yancy, to we'll run like a sort of joint event and a DEKA workshop, and hopefully a DEKA strong and a DEKA mile. You know, we've got a fair old space there.
Yeah, funny story about Emily. I was I messaged her on Slack and I'm like, I got some great news. I talked to Jason Curtis and I think he's going to affiliate. And she kind of giggled back and she said, "Oh, I've already had coffee with him. I think he's going to affiliate."
Yeah, coming at me at all angles. That's the key, isn't it? All the different contact points. But no, it's been fantastic, and what's been really, I'm really honoured. In all honesty, like I said to you when we first jumped on a call, was that I started Deadly Dozen a couple of years ago, and for me, we've had quite a rapid expansion. But in the early days, we were looking at obviously the high rocks, but DEKA, the big players, and obviously DEKA and especially Spartan, the overarching sort of obstacle course races worldwide. It's just an absolute behemoth. So, speaking to you guys and seeing how incredibly friendly and how welcoming you guys were, and especially when I went to the DEKA Fit in Derby, myself and Simon, my head of media, he went up to the team and was like, "Look, can we film? Jay's here, founder of the Deadly Dozen. He's here to race at the DEKA Fit. Can I come on?" And they're like, "Yeah, come on. Get your media team here." And it was just fantastic. It was just so welcoming, so friendly, and it was a real honour, in all honesty. But what we'll do to start is, obviously, much of the fitness racing community will know who you are. Lots of them have obviously done DEKA. But if you can give us a little bit of the history, Yancy, who you are, where you've come from, and sort of where you are today.
Well, I grew up in what we call the great country of Texas. We laugh about that. We kind of call Texas a country, and if you know, you know. We're a very proud state. And I was telling Emily, kind of like, she's like, "Well, that's kind of how we are up in Manchester. We're very proud of the northern UK region." But grew up on several 100-acre farm and ranch in north central Texas. Wow. Where you for 18 years you work your ass off every single day, sun up to sundown. We had horses and cattle and all the farm animals, and lived out in the country. One of those upbringings where you couldn't wait to get away when you turned 18, but now I love going back. My mom and dad still live on a beautiful farm up on top of a bluff, and but it was you learn how to work hard. You learn the value of working hard. Went off to university. Was blessed to earn a track and field scholarship. University of North Texas. Spent 4 years in the U.S. Navy. I started kind of moonlighting a little bit with fitness. I was a very fit guy, for running and playing sports in high school and college, and a very fit guy. So I kind of got put in charge of taking care of people. Every 6 months in the U.S. military, you have to do a fitness test, probably similar to you guys. You got to prove that you can still hold your own. And so I got put in charge of taking care of people that, hey, the fitness test is coming up and they need to get their shit together, or they're going to fail. So I kind of got the fitness bug a little bit. Got out of the military, started working for a company managing military air stations, flight lines, fixed base operators. Spent a lot of years in the aviation industry, in the civilian world, in the aviation world. Fell in love with aviation. I was a helicopter mechanic in the military, so it kind of, they all kind of meshed together. But in 1996, I got my first personal training job at the YMCA in San Diego, California. And you're making peanuts. You're YMCA is charging a certain amount, and you're getting a small percentage of that. But I didn't give a shit about the money. I loved it so much. So that's 30 years ago now. And ever since, I've been, for a while, I was moonlighting in fitness, started my own fitness businesses and training, and then dove into fitness full time. I'm kind of dating myself here, but I've probably coached 5, 6, 7,000 group exercise classes and different types of fitness businesses that I've owned and worked. And then, I had, in 2013, I had the opportunity. You see the death race over my shoulder here, the death race bib. 2013, I found myself at Joe DeSena's farm in Pittsville, Vermont, what turned out to be a 72-hour death race. There was about 300 of us that started and about 21 or 22 of us finished. But it was the funniest story. About 30 hours in, we're on the side of Joe's mountain, and we find ourselves talking freaking business. And we've been friends, collaborators in business and working together. And, then I eventually started working for Joe in a full-time role. And, 2019, I was in his kitchen in Pittsville, Vermont, pitched the idea. We started talking about all things DEKA and, how we're probably not going to get everybody to the mud and the barbed wire on the side of a mountain somewhere. What if there was a Spartan race that took place inside gyms and inside convention centers? And luckily Joe said yes to a fault. He's he could call it good or bad, but he's if you pitch a good idea to him, he's a fire ready aim guy, and he said yes. So I was like, oh shit, dude, we got to make this happen now because he's gonna support it. So anyway, that's kind of the from the farm to today. And I've had the wonderful opportunity to work for a lot of companies in the health and wellness space. I work for a great company here in Austin called Human Dietary Supplement Company. I'm a master's coach for Get Burley. We do mental and physical conditioning camps for large middle school, high school, college, C-level executives, just any team, group, organization that wants to level up mentally and physically. Get to do a lot of content creation for other companies. Game Time is one of them. So I get to work with a lot of companies. Spartan's kind of my full-time gig, Spartan DEKA. But I'm blessed, man, to work with a lot of companies where if they were all sitting around the same table, it's all in the health and wellness space, so everybody would be able to have a similar conversation.
Yeah, and that's sort of similar to the way I like it is the way I do. I've got a gym and a PT academy, and now obviously Deadly Dozen, and it's just different verticals within the same industry, which is pretty key. So obviously that's a pretty insane origin story, amazing. And obviously I've followed Joe DeSena and seen everything with Spartan and where he came from and what he did. And that was an incredible story. So what was obviously we've got the origin of DEKA, which was you in Joe's kitchen and let's create a sort of gym-based or a convention center, indoor sort of Spartan essentially, like what we now call a fitness race. So what then happened in from some sort of 2019 to now with DEKA? Did it explode overnight? Did it, what was the sort of story of DEKA over the last few years?
Well, I joke, for the last 6 years, it's been 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, man. Turning myself inside out, and we built an amazing team. The very first steps were Joe saying yes, and we're driving back to Boston the next day from the farm, and I'm on the phone with my really good friend, Jared Cogswell. We met in 2019 coaching together for the U.S. Army Boss Strong program. I've got a lot of experience coaching for the U.S. military after I got out, and Jared and I met there. And Jared's a high-level, club type startup guy, club manager. He's a startup and club manager for Lifetime. Lifetime's like the industry standard in the club space, the nicest of the nicest. And I said, dude, we got a plan, and I need you on the team. So Jared joined the team immediately. Next day, we're in Joe's office downtown Boston on his big dry erase board, and we're planning and scheming. And then about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, we rent an old abandoned Kmart in downtown Denver, Colorado, and we're murdering the plan, dude. For months, we would invite in, I tell the story. We flew in badass CrossFit Games level athletes and athletes from other sports. Lots of people in that 100-pound, 40, 50 kilogram overweight category, and everybody in between. We were testing people every night. It was open gym in this massive, dilapidated Kmart, dude. And I mean, in the middle of the winter, freezing cold in there. In the daytime, it would heat up and the snow would drip through the ceiling. And the nighttime, we'd freeze our butts off. And we would just throw things at people. And we said, listen, we're not leaving here until everybody's crossing the same finish line. In the same arena and on the same day, using the exact same standards, all levels come together and celebrate fitness together. And we had people like Ryan Kent. You know, I remember I wanted DEKA Fit to be, I wanted kind of that Roger Bannister mark, you know, the 4-minute mile mark. I said, I want breaking 30 to be really, really freaking hard. So let's bring in one of the best, Kent, who had some success with High Rocks already, and just a great athlete. And we had other high-level athletes on the female side come in. And true story, I don't know if I've ever told this specifically, but Kent drops like a 29.57. And I'm like, okay, it's where it needs to be. That's not going to be an easy mark to beat. And we started messing around with other, the DEKA Strong and the DEKA Mile, because we knew we had an event coming up March 21, downtown Denver, the Denver Broncos indoor training facility, if you know the NFL. And we were planning on DEKA Strong and DEKA Mile for our gym events. Well, about 2 weeks prior to that first big convention center type event, COVID ripped the rug right out from under us. We had to make a dramatic shift. And true story, shout out to Florida. When COVID hit, Florida said, we're not participating in this whole COVID thing. They're like, we're not participating. I'm serious. We moved the operation to Florida, and the gyms are open. The restaurants are open. Everything's open in Florida. It's like nothing's really changed in Florida. So we put on DEKA Strong and DEKA Mile events, mainly DEKA Strong up and down the Florida region. And, you know, we knew that was going to be the real sticky point. You know, creating a globally recognized sport for just about any gym on planet Earth could bolt on DEKA, and people could test their fitness. So that 3 to 4 months of training in between had a lot more purpose to it. And, you know, probably similar in the United Kingdom, a much larger percentage of people grow up not playing sports. They're not active. They don't participate in common participatory sports that are available. Mm-hmm. And they graduate and go on to university or whatnot, go on to life, and they've really never experienced the power of the start and finish line, the power of a leaderboard, the power of testing and then, you know, training and then testing and getting faster and getting a medal hung around your neck or getting, you know, celebrated or just hitting a finish line. It's addicting, as you and I know. Mm-hmm. And sometimes coaches and gym owners get tunnel vision. They don't realize that the vast majority of people have never experienced that. So I think this was the game changers. We created DEKA for all the people that have never had that in their life. Fingers crossed, people like you and I and the Ryan Kents and the Rich Ryans and the Lauren Weekses of the world and everybody, the Jude Reynolds, who I think he was the first or second fastest at DEKA Fit in the UK. Mm-hmm. Those types are like, oh, I love this as well. But that's not who we created it for. It was for the people who needed it in their life.
I like the fact you included me with Rich Ryan and all these top level athletes there. Not quite that level, but I try hard.
I know how to slip in a little love for the host, brother.
Well, that's it. No, but it's exactly right that it's all about everybody, getting everybody at the race and really pushing that standard. And I love the fact that when you said to me that it was one standard, and I wanted, you know, essentially you've got Lauren Weeks at the start line and you've got someone that's potentially was a couch potato, as people call them, or they've not done much fitness. And this is the first ever race. They're giving fitness racing a go. They're stood on the start line next to Lauren Weeks, world-class athlete. They're both going to finish the race. Yes, she might be an hour faster than you, but at the end of the day, you've done the same standard. And I actually think that's really special. And we often get asked, as Deadly doesn't, are you not going to have a pro category? You're not going to have this? And I'm like, no, it's one race, one standard. And I think that is, for us, that's the way to go, that everyone's doing the same race. It's the same standard. And you can be, what fitness racing is for me is, it's this umbrella where we've got, say, CrossFit on one side, and then we've got what I sort of refer to as conventional fitness racing, which is, what I wanted to be Hyrox, DEKA, Deadly Dozen, these races that is run exercise, but we've got variations like the Strong. In the middle, you have things like AFIX and Battle Cancer, and they're sort of stage races where, look, stage 1, you're doing this, and then we go into this workout, and then we go into this workout. And they often are sort of low complexity, low strength barrier, or it's working up to a 1 rep max or a 3 rep max. CrossFit obviously can be anything. It could be the most simple workout in the world. It could be a swim, it could be a row, it could be, press ups and sit ups. But as we know, it's a lot of Olympic lifting. It's a lot of gymnastic movements, and that's great. But what you created and what I wanted to create with Deadly Dozen was, there's no technical barrier to entry, really. It's simple. It's fundamentals of movements. With Deadly Dozen, I was very much keen to go, right, simple kit, and it's accessible to everyone. All you have to be is fit. And even if you're an adaptive athlete, you can do it. We'll modify in any way that we need to accommodate you. But the bottom line is, we want everyone there. And we want to sort of, as we discuss, we want to get millions and millions and millions of people fitness racing, because, like you say, it's incredibly powerful, because all it is gamification of fitness. It's just fitness racing. I call it like racification. Is what I've seen in my gym, training a lot of youth athletes. And there's studies to back this. It was a terrible outcome of a study, really, which was kids stop enjoying sport. Not all kids, but a lot of kids were stopping enjoying sport at 12 years old. And a lot of people don't continue with conventional sport, football, rugby, tennis, once they're past school age. But what is the reason why I call fitness racing the lifelong sport, or fitness is the lifelong sport, because that's what you can continue doing. And where I saw fitness not necessarily going wrong, but when I first entered the industry, it was very much, you either lifted weights or you ran. You're either an endurance person or you're a strength person. You're either a meathead or a triathlete. And actually now what fitness racing has done is gone, be everything. Be everything you can be, and do a little bit of running, do some rowing, and mix it all up together. And I think it makes training 3-dimensional. It makes it more interesting. With any program, especially if it's just strength, you will start to plateau. So being able to target different verticals within your sort of toolbox is key for keeping things entertaining. So going back to DEKA, was the term DEKA decided in that kitchen? Because I think I said to you, didn't I, that if we were to take away Hyrox, DEKA, Deadly Dozen, these other races, and you were to say to me, what's some of the best branding? I was like, I love Deadly Dozen, but DEKA's really good branding, right? Because you've got the decathlon, which if you win the decathlon, you're considered the world's greatest athlete. Yeah. And obviously you've got like the decathlon of fitness essentially, and it's DEKA. And I think it's an incredible brand. Obviously 10, you've got these 10 exercises. So was that decided from the get-go?
I grew up lover of all things track and field. I was able to compete at a high level. And you nailed it. The decathlon was that we considered that the greatest athletes. Heptathlon and decathlon. So Joe and I are driving back, and we are kicking back. It's like the Joe and Yancy AI version, back and forth. We're just kicking ideas back and forth, and we landed on DEKA. And we laughed today. We can't remember like the DEKA who came up with it, but I remember like specifically the right now the decathletes are the greatest. Could we create a sport where you could be considered possibly the greatest if you're the world champion here, but also in that same arena, the whole 99% of every person in every community to come in and do exactly what you do. I said, if we can nail that, we're on to something. So DEKA was decided before we even got back to Boston that next morning. Yeah.
And then when it comes to the exercises, how long was that process? As in, obviously you've said you tested and that, but I know from speaking to you and listening to you on podcasts and stuff like that certain exercises mean a lot to you, or your favorite exercises. So what was the process there? Because obviously one thing with DEKA is, I looked at DEKA and was like, look, you've got Hyrox, it's got ergs, it's got sleds, it's got wall balls. I looked at DEKA, and DEKA's really interesting because it's got the tank, which initially I actually changed my mind on, because initially I was like, well, that's quite a sort of specialist bit of kit that not many gyms have. That's a really bold choice. But obviously with some of the sled issues Hyrox has had, and just how accessible the sled is on different surfaces. I was like, well, actually, it's a great idea. You've got the rams, you've got the slam ball, the dead balls, you've got the tank. What was the sort of thought process behind the exercises you chose?
Here's the deal. You and I and so many others in the fitness space, this is kind of my try to raise the eyebrow, pull people to the edge of your seat statement. We're in the business of dealing with the world's most powerful drug. Fitness, movement, exercise, mental and physical health and wellness, the power of the start line, the power of testing your fitness. We've seen it change and even save lives, and that's why we love it. We do so much. So all the conversation was around so many people have never experienced that world's most powerful drug. And keep in mind that I grew up on a farm where I could bring friends out to the farm, and I had to work my ass off all day long, working the farm. Farm work does not take training. It's just go to work. Now, I'm going to get more efficient at doing things than my friends that I would bring out. It's like, oh my God, this is hard work. But take something like the sled. Push and pull is the most rudimentary forms of work we've ever done. Now, here's the thing though. That whole time I had that vision of we want 3,000 gyms, clubs, studios, and boxes holding 10,000 events a year with concrete floors, turf, rubber, the pavement out back on the alleyway, different floor surfaces, 50 different sleds. You can never gamify push-pull in gym space. Yeah, in a specific convention center, you could possibly gamify it there. It's very challenging, but the magnetic resistance sleds allowed us to have push-pull in there, yes, and it's an expensive piece of kit, but once you and I own a gym together, once we have a couple of those in the gym space, in the group exercise environment, I could be training with my mom, and it takes me 1 second to change resistance.
Yeah.
I'm not taking plates on and off. So it made sleds are a pain in the ass in group exercise. They are, because you got to move plates on and off. And changing resistance is challenging because it's friction. The magnetic rolling resistance, we have 2 approved manufacturers, ZBX, GetRx, and Torque, and it allowed us to have push-pull. And one of the key pieces is we wanted it to look like let's say you have a DEKA Strong set up. It looks like, that looks like a group exercise class. That looks like it looks like a small gym. Just basic equipment, but some pieces that are like, that looks kind of cool. There's in the gym world, there's the word differentiator is the key. Take the rams, I think the key differentiators for DEKA are the rams, the air bikes, the sleds, and just, you combine everything and it feels like a little gym environment. Like we actually have a couple, over the years, we had a business affiliate with us, and all they had was 2 lines of equipment. They didn't have a fitness space, but all of a sudden they affiliated with DEKA, and now you do. Up to 20 people could be in there training at a time, and with different intervals and whatnot, anaerobic HIIT classes, endurance and stamina classes, or strength and power classes in that DEKA gym. So we wanted it to be like if you and I are coaching a class today in a gym, and you've got the air bike and the sled and the rams and the rower, we're not doing this to break a sweat, lose a few pounds or inches. We're doing this to train for the sport of DEKA, or the sport, if we've got some of your zones in there, the sport of deadly, or even high rocks. It's like the sport we're training. As an old coach for 30 years, I never allow myself to call it exercise or working out. It's training, because at a minimum, we're training for the ultimate sport of life. And I know you know exactly what I'm talking about there is, when Susie and Bill wake up 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, are they going to be able to say yes to everything this beautiful rock of ours called planet Earth provides us? Active vacation with the kids, the grandkids one day, being able to protect ourselves if we need to, being able to, and our family members, being able to do the type of work we want to do. So ultimately training for the sport of life. But the zones were truly developed. They were in our minds, and I've got oh my gosh, I can show you this, dude. When I was, let me see if I can find this. This is too good. Okay. This is the kind of stuff you find, dude. You find these type of drawings. These drawings are for like January 2020 or like December 2020. It's like everything starts on a dry erase board or a bar napkin. And so for those 3 months, most of the zones were set, but we We changed some of the zones. You shifted them around, and I know you'll value this with your amazing. For example, I just finished reading, for the listeners and the viewers, I just finished reading Jason's book, who you're going to have available soon. One of the best damn books. When I wrote the forward to it, I said, every mom and dad needs to read this, every PE coach, every health instructor. It's like the fitness and exercise and training Bible, and the value of fitness in your life. It's like that Bible. So fist bumps to you, but the value of people looking at your product and saying, 10 years from now, and we're 10 times as big as we are, and I was like, you know what, that makes sense. Where they put things makes sense. It's like I kind of see how you warm up in those first round of zones, and you kind of everything turns into full body, and you get the dark alley beat down for the finish. Do we work all planes of motion and muscle groups and joints? Does it make sense versus just, so rep count, the weight standards? You can understand this, man. It's very hard, not in a bad way. It's very challenging, a healthy challenge to say, okay, Lauren's in the arena, strong, powerful, fit athlete. When she's at a 170 heart rate, is it going to be very, very challenging for her, those weights? They start to feel heavy for her. But in that same arena, using the same standards, 5 people 100 pounds overweight could be doing exactly what Lauren's doing. That was crazy important. So that testing in the lab DEKA is no way where it is today at the level it is without those 3.5 months of just murdering the plan, dude.
Well, that's it. And this is something that we still get loads of comments on. So I tested and tested and tested all the labors, so we call the exercises labors. It always stemmed from like the 12 labors of Hercules, and it was all right, body weight, kettlebell, dumbbell, weight plate exercises, all the key movements, squat, lunge, push. I wanted, rather than weight plate ground to overhead, we called it the clean and press. We've got the dumbbell snatch. So we have the 2 Olympic lifts. We have, all the key movements, the fundamentals of movements like hinge, squat, push, pull, all single legs type stuff. And for me, the key was going that you can always go faster. So I remember in the military that if someone was at the back, it wouldn't be an issue. But if someone was fit and they said, how was that? And they said, oh, it was easy. That would piss me off more. I'd be like, well, you've not worked very hard, have you? So if I do a circuit training session at the gym and someone's like, oh, that was easy, I'm like, well, you're clearly useless, or you've not worked hard, you know what I mean? Whereas if someone's really struggled, but they've put 100% in, then it's good. So we get comments all the time on Instagram, and it doesn't annoy me, but I sort of want to go, I can't wait to see you race, because people go, then weights are too light, then weights are easy, then weights are pathetic. Even we get one person even said, what is the point in having bear crawls in there? What a pathetic movement. By far, bear crawls are seen as like the worst of the 12 labors. And the bottom line is, the amount of people that say your weights need to be heavier, and I say, well, come and give it a go, because 60 reps of anything, even if it's a paperweight, when you're doing 400 meter best efforts into 60 goblet squats, it could be a body weight squat. But the amount of people that, especially when we first launched the race, the amount of, not backlash, but the amount of comments we got that people said, that's too easy, then weights are easy. And what people were essentially doing is they were thinking, right, that's a 12.5 kilo or a 25 pound dumbbells for 60 push press. And they're like, well, in the gym, I do 4 sets of 10 at whatever weight it is. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a different kettle of fish when you've ran a 400.
Jason, let me tell you something real quick. I would say, and this is going to ruffle a few feathers, but that's a selfish individual that does not understand fitness from a coaching perspective. Going back to what we talked about earlier in the podcast, the vast majority of those people, and it could be Manchester, Birmingham, London, or any of the cities here in the U.S., all around you, there are people that they don't have fitness in their life. And the most beautiful part about, I think where Deadly and DEKA line up really well, is all the major cities in the UK, all the major cities in the US. You and I could roam around. We could do this would be fun. We could do a project together for a research project for a year. And we have Deadly and DEKA set up in an indoor-outdoor environment. And we just pull every town, city we go to, we pull 100 random people off the street. You're going to get a lot of unfit people in those 100 random people. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them They're going to take longer than you and I, but they're all going to finish, and we're going to hang a medal around their neck. We're going to high five them. We're going to hug them. They're going to go to a leaderboard. They're just going to be slower. And anybody saying that, to your point, has never hit Deadly or DEKA at Zone 5 red line. It's going to completely turn you inside out. And yes, I understand from a very high level strength athlete, the weights at a low heart rate are going to feel very light. Okay, but it's okay. I know you and I, our vision is very similar. We truly want to get, like, what really fills our love tank is, I love seeing Lauren and Ryan and those types cross the finish line. But what really fills our love tank is when that person is in tears because it's the first finish line they've ever crossed. Or maybe they haven't done anything since middle school or high school and they've let themselves go. They've kind of disrespected themselves. And that one crazy friend of theirs put their coaching hat on and pulled their ass to the start line, and they finish, and now they feel a little buzzed. They sneak home and see themselves on the leaderboard. They're looking a few weeks later and like, oh my gosh, that kind of felt good. I've never experienced that before. That's a different vision than just traditional sport. Yes, traditional sport. Like, it's, we sit on the couch and we watch the best of the best, maybe the strongest, if it's weightlifting or powerlifting or, a Rich Froning and a Tia Claire Tooming or a Matt Frazier. It's like, whoa, dude, that is for the 1%ers. Even after years of training, it's still for the 1%ers. You see, it's a different scope of like, we want to go out in town and touch the people that need to be touched with fitness. And I just love the fact, and I call it non-debatable all the time. And it's if it's DEKA or it's Deadly, you pull anybody off the street, and there's a damn good chance, as is, with zero training, low risk of injury, meet you right where you're at right now, they're going to cross that damn finish line. And the beautiful thing is we're going to periodically bolt on the exact same thing. And Susie or Bill, I'm like, damn, 2 years ago, I can't believe I used to do this. It used to take me this long. That feels like so long ago. And they start to feel, they understand training for the sport of life, basically. So anyway, that's really, we have different, the labors and the zones are a little different, but the concept is the same, and it truly is broad reaching. I like to say, if you can walk and breathe, there's a damn good chance you're going to find the finish line. And that's not true for all participatory sport. Most participatory sport is I've done it all. I love it. Marathon, half marathon, Spartan, Tough Mudder, triathlon, High Rocks, and CrossFit Open. I love all that stuff. And it's got a beautiful place, and it's all done really well. But and that's why we spent so much time in the lab, is like, could we possibly find a finish line where, it's like, hey, the product's done, to where it's this broad brush stroke where almost every human on planet Earth can do it right freaking now. So it's just a little different mission statement. It's all good, man. Every brand that I listed, I love it. You're getting people to the finish line, and they're training for something. That's a beautiful thing.
Well, I remember watching, there's been lots of videos like this where they'll talk about CrossFit and said, if I was going to design CrossFit, it'd be fundamentals, like barbell back squat, conventional deadlift and fundamentals. And I'm like, you're missing the point. What CrossFit is what has made CrossFit so special for so many people is because of what it is. Whether some people might look at it and go, I'm not as into the gymnastic type stuff or the technicality or the barbell Olympic lifting, but that's what makes it special. And when it comes to DEKA and Deadly Dozen, where people might critique it and say, oh, I would have done this, or I would have changed this labor, it's almost a little bit irrelevant, because the race is what it is. A marathon is what it is. The ultra is what it is. The Barkley marathons are what they are, and that's what makes them special. It's almost like the imperfections are what make them special. Maybe that one labor is that little bit too long for people, or maybe the push press is, for some people it's a little bit heavy, but then the farmer's carry could be heavier for others. And actually, what I love about our style of fitness racing is it doesn't change. And what we've created is, everyone, when I created Deadly, was saying to me, like, get boring. What do you mean it doesn't change? Fitness race have got to change, because it was that CrossFit mentality, even though you had obviously High Rocks and DEKA and that standard. But I was like, hang on a minute, in the UK we have parkrun. And there's 5Ks every weekend. And people travel the world doing these park runs, right? And I was like, I want to be like the park run of fitness racing. And it was about, I want a race that doesn't change, works all the fundamentals. Absolutely everyone can do it, within reason. There's got to be some strength barrier, otherwise you're just body weight. So there's some barriers to entry in terms of you've got to get fit. But there's nothing that's saying, you've got to be able to do a muscle up or you've got to be able to do a full Olympic snatch. It's you can absolutely train to do DEKA, you can absolutely train to do deadlift dozen. And it's about, if you think the weights are light, go harder, go faster. I mean, we've only had one person worldwide out of thousands of athletes that have broke 40 minutes. And it's a hard race and it's just a beautiful thing. I mean, one question for you is, obviously you guys have achieved so much and expanded to so many countries. There's hundreds, if not thousands of races worldwide now, including the gym and the events. What's your aim then? What's your big picture aim for? We know you want to get millions of people racing, but where do you see DEKA in the next 2, 3, 5 years? What's the mission there?
Yeah. So ultimately, I promise that we will never step away from our core foundation, which is celebrating fitness. You hear me say that a lot. Celebrating the power of fitness inside the brick and mortar, and in some cases outside the brick and mortar. Gyms, clubs, studios, boxes. We have recreation centers, University of Connecticut. We have military bases. That is our true convention center. It's like, what do you mean, Yancy? The convention center, that's a 100,000 square foot facility. No, the true convention center where true magic happens every single weekend is anywhere from 10, 15, 20 to up to 50 plus gym events take place inside gyms, clubs, studios, and boxes globally now, many countries, where 50 to 150 people come together and they walk in, they're nail-biting nervous. Many cases, they do the individual, the team division, or maybe the ruck division, and they cross that finish line and they earn a mark. And they competed in an official, globally recognized sport that was a 2-minute drive from their home. Where about, if you look at our 4,500 events, about 65% of the people that buy a ticket are a member of that gym. 35% have never walked in that gym before in their life. And a strong percentage of that 35%, they don't have a gym home right now. Normally, what happens is a member of that gym put their coaching hat on and they invited friends in. So that's our ultimate goal. We will never shy. I don't care if we have 10,000 people coming to every convention center, expo center event. We will never step away from the power of that gym being able to make some revenue, and test their fitness of their people. So it provides one of the key goals is to create more purpose to that training. So when you're coming to class to train, okay, it's not exercising. Like I said, we're training for the sport of life, and it just meshes really well with that. So ultimately, we, Emily and Brian and I, and have always kicked around the term, 3,000. I've been saying it since 2019, 2020, is we ultimately want 3,000 plus gyms globally, hosting over 10,000 events a year. And as you know, 2/3 of our events, we have 5 actually, but of the core group, DEKA Strong, DEKA Mile, and DEKA Fit, 2/3 of that product, the only way to qualify for world championships is you got to go to the gym. You got to go to a gym in your community and check that box, individual, team, or ruck, and we love that. So it's empowering, and it create the gym space. Like you need to own your 3 mile or 5 kilometer radius. That's where most of your revenue is going to come from. And you need a member. What's the member client journey? You ask any good gym owner or coach, like, what's the member client journey here? Well, if you ask me that question, and I'm a high quality DEKA affiliate gym, and I'm sure it's pretty similar to you, is, hey, we believe in testing here. We tell all new members, listen, I want you to commit to being selfish with your time 3 to 4 or 5 times a week. You're going to come in. It's Yancy time. It's Jason time. It's your time. And I'm serving myself right now. And I start stacking those days on top of each other, and I slowly become a better version of myself. All of a sudden, I wake up 3, 6, 9 months later, and everybody around me is benefiting because I'm training for DEKA or I'm training for Deadly. I'm feeling better, man. I'm a better husband, wife, father, community leader, boss, leader or follower at work, in my community, because fitness, the world's most powerful drug. My coach told me, he said this thing, it's the world's most powerful drug. And I started believing in this addiction, and I kind of feel the benefits of it. So ultimately, to truly answer your question the best I can, it's to support and help strengthen the foundation of every gym that decides to partner with us, man. And I know you feel the same way, partner with you. We make them stronger. We don't have any enemies. We don't have the gyms down there, the gyms next to us. We will partner with any gym on planet Earth. There's no competition, man. We're a partner for everybody. We're not a competition. We are a partner for you. We want to lift you up, provide you a great opportunity to celebrate fitness with your people, generate some revenue, and then be able to both on those same tests so people can see themselves getting faster. And that checks that box, man. You're able to high five, give people a big hug, and say, I told you so. Remember when you first became a member and I told you? Or I said, listen, you should become a member here. You're gonna enjoy the experience. It's very validating to the coaches who speak the language every day, and the owners.
Well, like I say, I've owned an independent gym now for 10 years, a strength and conditioning gym. And I always say the key to an independent gym, because often independent gyms are smaller, they might have less equipment, less facilities, they don't have big swimming pools, saunas, jacuzzis, all this sort of stuff. Yet they often charge a lot more, right? And there's two C's. That's the reason why people come, is it's coaching. So high standard of coaching than the classes that they're involved in. And number two, which is often even more important, is community. And it's the community that it builds. But what the key is, I've realized with owning an independent gym, it's about the coaching. It's about the community that you develop, but then it's about the value adds. And to me, what's been the biggest value add to, say, my strength and conditioning facility, which is now, we've got a big 10,000 square foot building now that we're turning into Deadly Dozen Institute of Fitness Racing, is fitness racing has been the biggest by far value add. And, we're obviously running the Deadly Dozen gym races, but we've become a DEKA affiliate. And to us, what it does is it provides the meaning to training. So people often define exercise or workouts as just getting hot and sweaty, and training is, there's a purpose. So how does this session affect tomorrow's session and next week's session? What am I working towards? And like going back to when we talked about, the elites, as a strength and conditioning coach, I've worked with, rugby, combat sports athletes. Everyone within the S&C game aspires to work with world-class athletes. And actually, I found by far the most rewarding people to work with is what we call professional amateurs. People that just are not professional athletes, but they're individuals, hobbyist athletes, right? So normal people we call athletes because they've gone, I'm doing a marathon, I'm doing a half marathon, I'm doing an Ironman even, I'm doing a DEKA, I'm doing a Deadly Dozen, right? These are these sort of professional amateurs, they're hobbyist athletes. And by far, they are most the rewarding people to train, because you've got a normal individual that in general is going to see far higher levels of performance increases, because a lot of elite athletes are at that. It's marginal gains. So you're going to see huge development in these individuals. And the best thing you can do to your client is give them real goals. Like, it's the whole process of smart goal setting, but they need a tangible goal. And it's one thing having goals within the gym, which is like lose a bit of weight or, which is absolutely fine. So body composition goals, and then you've got like strength goals. So these are sort of performance-based goals in the gym, but having that real external goal, that event, and it's a real, like I say, fitness racing for me is the lifelong sport, because it's just a sport that goes everything that you need for longevity. So you're talking about your VO2 max, talking about your cardio, respiratory endurance, your fitness, talking about your muscular strength, so your musculoskeletal bone mineral density, right? You're going to have to lift weights. You want to be running. You want to be doing cardio. If you can't run, we've got the rower, we've got the skier, we've got all these different things. And all it is we've created a sport that is that lifelong sport, and it provides a goal for individuals that they can go, actually, it's almost like this perfect adult sport where it's like, I'm going to the gym. That's my leisure time, which you see more and more now. Just gym memberships are going through the roof in terms of how many people are joining gyms now. And we've just gamified it. We've just turned it into a sport. At one stage, I was like, is a better name gym sport? It's just gym sport. CrossFit have done it really, really well. You've got this $4 billion brand, probably more now, that involves, often a lot of complexity. And sometimes people view it as having quite high strength barriers, even though it doesn't. Anyone can do CrossFit. But we've just brought it to the mainstream. And for me, when it comes to especially independent gyms, the best thing I've ever done is just lean into fitness racing. I mean, it's why I created the Deadly Dozen, because I was like, being a strength and conditioning, I was an army physical training instructor for 6 years, strength and conditioning coach. I just seen what was happening in the industry, and I was like, this isn't a fad. This is going to be the future. It is going to be alongside running. Running is an incredible pastime, because you go out, you start running, but actually combining the gym and fundamental movements and simple bits of kit, adding in the tank, adding in sleds, adding in maybe wall balls, adding in squats, lunges, row, ski erg. It's just so sort of enjoyable, and it's it's multi-dimensional. It's just, you're working on everything. It's just incredible. So I'm really, really excited to do some DEKA events, do some Deadly events in the new gym. And what I'd love to do is have you over, Yancy, in the new year, to sort of work on a workshop together. Because like I say, we've been chatting a little bit, and we're very, very keen, which myself and Simon, we went to DEKA Fit in Derby, and I told you that when we did a video and we're talking about DEKA, we probably had the most positive response we've ever had from our social media. And I had a number of people one woman messaged me and said, I never felt confident enough to do a fitness race, right? And it wasn't that I made it more accessible in the race, but she said, seeing you at DEKA, so you being like the CEO of Deadly Dozen, going to DEKA and being so positive and so friendly about DEKA, she goes, it made it so much more accessible, because she's like, it was friendly. It wasn't this sort of elitist, big corporate entities sort of competing against each other. It was genuine, real, authentic. You know what? Like, DEKA's awesome, Deadly's awesome. We all get on. Yes, business is business, but at the end of the day, the pie is big enough for everyone. If you do a good enough race, people say to me, oh, this new race has come out. What do you think? New race is great for the consumer. It's our job to provide the infrastructure, the leaderboards, this global race that people want to do. And honestly, the feedback we got when I come to DEKA was just insane, because people are like, you're friendly. And I'm really, really keen for DEKA and Deadly Dozen, or is it DEKA Dozen? Is almost like a good name for it. It's just DEKA and Deadly Dozen. It's not a corporate partnership. It's not any form of merger, but me and you and the full team just work together to promote fitness racing worldwide. And because both of us have the same aim, really, which is about getting millions of people happier and healthier through fitness racing. And if you achieve that, then you're going to have a thriving fitness racing business. But the bottom line is, it's about making sure that thousands of gyms worldwide are more successful because of something you've created, and also making sure that millions of people worldwide are enjoying fitness, because all we've done is we've took the basics and we've gone, here you go. This is a great way to motivate everyone.
Yeah, when you genuinely mean from deep down in your heart that the main reason we're doing this is to serve the greater human race, with what we talked about earlier on the call, the podcast, dealing the world's most powerful drug, fitness, movement, exercise, taking care of, being a little selfish with your time and taking care of your beautiful machine. So you can use it. This is our temple. And the reason why, one of the key reasons why Deadly and DEKA exist is to take care of your beautiful temple, dude. This is all I have for my 70 to 100 year journey here, that I hopefully I get to enjoy this beautiful rock of ours. And we want to provide you with an avenue to train for something and test and show that, man, I feel better about myself, because the gamification shows me that I am better. When that's our true meaning. And yes, we love the championships. We're getting, in a couple weeks, we're going to celebrate some badasses. Lauren Weeks will be in the freaking arena, and it's crazy fun to watch. And there's some girls that can go toe to toe with her, and Ryan Kent will be there, and these other ones. But that's, how cool is it that throughout the regular season, I can go, I'm on a 100-pound weight loss journey, and I can go to the exact same course they compete in, and I can do exactly what they do, and I can watch them race and then go do my own race, or do my race and then watch them race in that same arena, versus I've kind of always loved sport, but I've always watched it from my couch. Nope, not here. I go out and do it with them. So I think, listen, 99% of the world still have no clue what DEKA and Deadly is, and other things out there. There is so much to go around. If we align together and our mission is clear, that we want all of you to feel like athletes. We want all of you testing your fitness and feel the power of testing your fitness, and then having something to train for, and have something bolted onto your schedule a couple times a year, and it holds me accountable. We're talking coach language right now. You know, the power of testing your fitness, and we provide this really cool gamified thing that now people from countries all over the world can go do exactly what my friend that lives across the pond is doing. Is like, oh, I raced too, and oh my gosh, you improved 7 minutes, I improved 3 minutes, I feel so much better. Dude, there is so much to go. Why in the world would we butt heads as competitors versus no? Our ultimate goal, when you and I we're so old we can barely walk, and we're looking down on our legacy, and we're like, gosh, we created a legacy. We left a big legacy, and there's millions and millions of people that realize the power of fitness and training because of what we created. Do that. If we can do that, if we can get on a faster track by working together, why in the freaking world would we take any other route?
No. Well, the races they're so similar yet so different, and you've got the DEKA Fit, we've got the track race, and then we've got the strong versions of the race, which are like the labour only or the station only. You've got the DEKA Mile, we've got like Deadly Row, Deadly Ski and stuff like that we're trying to get to thousands of gyms worldwide. My gym that I own, we're Deadly, we're DEKA, we want to be running both, we want to complement that whole scene. I think there's going to be literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of gyms worldwide that we're going to benefit from being DEKA and Deadly. We'll take our sort of big races worldwide, expand exponentially. And like I say, the key is to look back and go, what's key for me is I'd love to be able to say, you know what, millions of people enjoyed the race I put together. And if you enjoyed it, that's all.
It's pretty simple.
That's it. And that's the way to go.
One more thing real quick on that. I'd be willing to bet, I always try to, let me fast forward 15 years and look back. That kind of helps us. Do I need to groom or tweak anything? I'm pretending I'm looking back. I'd be willing to bet that before fitness racing came around, you had all this participatory sport. My gut tells me that people that are training for DEKA and Deadly, and I'll include High Rocks in there. I love what they're doing. Let's just use the three of those, or anybody similar out there that's in a similar world, kind of starting up what you're starting right now. I'd be willing to bet that the doctors, the exercise physiologists, the experienced strength and conditioning coaches, the Peter Attias of the world. Let's put Peter Attia in there. When they say, okay, we have 15 years from now, we've got these people that really focused on running, just a lot of running, or only strength training, going to the gym. But we have this crowd that cranked up around 15 years ago, this fitness racing crowd. Man, it was well balanced, and they're not. They don't look like the Hulk. And they don't look like that 120-pound guy that's been training for the marathon his whole life, and he ran a 230 because he got down to 120 freaking pounds, or the girl down to 98 pounds, which I'm not a fan of that. I love running, but this group, man, look at their bone density, look at their overall health, their blood work, their overall analytics of their health. This well-rounded athlete, I'd be willing to bet that we're going to win that game. If that was a game, we're going to freaking win, because it's from an exercise physiology perspective, it's kind of how things looked 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago.
An incredibly low injury risk. Like, what I was amazed by is the first UK season was like 3,000 athletes, not a single injury of note. And like people saying, the amount of messages I get that just say, I've had low back pain, I've had knee pain, I've had this. And as soon as I've started to mix everything in, the mixed modality work, the Deadly dozen stations, and it would be the same for the DEKA stations, is basically just say it's just high volume resistance training. And, nothing's overloading too much. They're putting in the right amount of strength work to develop muscular strength, but it's just well-rounded programming. And you can't get bored, because you can lean into strength, you can lean into aerobic capacity, you can lean into track days, you can do a bit of everything. And it's all about everything you do in the gym is specific to the race. So in terms of like keeping people motivated, there's nothing else like it. And I absolutely agree that, in 10, 20, 30 years time, they're going to look back and go, these individuals that were fitness racers, are just the most well-rounded, healthiest individuals, because sport often can be quite unhealthy when you're pushing to the extreme. But yeah, honestly, I think that the partnership that we can create to push DEKA and Deadly Dozen globally is just going to be incredible. And I'm really looking forward to meeting up both in the States and in the UK, jumping on another podcast in our podcast studio, going over to the States to do a DEKA with yourself, you jumping on a Deadly with me. It's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely.
But what we do to finish the podcast is we have what's called 3, 2, 1, go. So it's 3 words or phrases that define your ethos, 2 habits, daily habits that you swear by, and then 1 final piece of advice for the listener. So to start, 3 words or phrases that sort of define your ethos.
Oh, man. Live, love, laugh, and serve big with big focus on the serve. Don't let your feet hit the floor in the morning until you're ready to dominate the day. Live on platform A. Sorry, I'm going a little off script here. We have a choice every day to live on platform A, B, or C. A is bring good energy, positive attitude, kick ass, and take names. B is mediocrity. C is you're a hot freaking pain in the ass mess. Don't roll out of the bed until you decide I'm going to spend my day on A. I know I'm an imperfect person that's failing forward, but live on A. Hang out with other people that like to live on A. Celebrate life. Freaking celebrate this beautiful rock of ours. Pinch the life out of every second you get. God dang it, that was a good question. I could roll on for a long time with that, dude. So sorry if I got off script a little bit there. You said 3. You said three words or phrases. So I took phrases and ran with it, I guess.
Yeah, they were some of the best phrases I've ever heard. They were fantastic. So 2 habits that you swear by.
2 habits is I am selfish with my time. You heard me say that several times in the podcast. I am selfish with my time. I take Yancy time every day. I'd be willing to bet that you've heard what I've heard many times. I don't have time to do this. And I bet you would agree with me. And most other coaches and gym owners would agree with me. I 100% will swear to you that when I take that 45 minutes, I might look at my watch. It's like, oh, I've got a meeting in 52 minutes. It's 3-minute drive to the gym and back. Okay, I'm going to go get my 42 minutes in. And that's going to buy me some time because I feel good knowing that I'm going to do it. I feel good after it. So 5-6 times a week, man, like I do not feel right. I feel like a shell of myself if I'm not selfish with my time and train. And the second one would be stay connected. You're a great example. Stay connected with people that motivate you to just put your best foot forward every day. Mentors, accountability partners, and do something. Here's the thing. Life, when you build a new house and you pour a foundation and it takes 2 or 3 days for that foundation to cure. Life is nothing more than a long 50, 60, 70 year curing foundation that you're standing on, and do things, say yes to things that put more rebar. Like coming on this podcast shoved a piece of rebar in my ever curing foundation. And when I wake up when I'm, let's say 70, 75, and I'm starting to taper back a little bit and kind of projecting on my life, I got a lot of rebar in that foundation that's finally almost cured. And the corners are cracked and brittle a little bit, but the core foundation is strong as hell, dude. And that's because you learned a lot from really good people, was present and in the moment. And one more thing I'll add is never walk into a situation, a meeting, a conversation with somebody. It could be doing a keynote speech. It could be coaching a class. It could be just before you're getting ready to step out the car and walk into work. Every situation you walk into, hit a pause button. You might physically slap your leg. Hit that pause button. For me, it's like, okay, I'm going to say like a quick 5-second prayer. Do everything you can do, Yancy, to maximize the next 10 seconds, 10 minutes, hour, 3 hours. Maximize that situation. Be the type of person that people like having on the team. I get to travel the country and coach people, and I'm like, this is a non-debatable. This is a rough one to take sometimes. But when you walk into a room, everybody in there right now in your current state of yourself, or you jump on a Zoom call or a Google Meets call, you walk in the room with a bunch of people around a boardroom, everybody says one or two things. They cringe a little bit, or like their mind's thinking, damn, I like having him or her around. I like when they step into the room. Everybody's in one of those two categories, man. That's a non-debatable. You don't want to be that person that people are like, oh God, oh, So that comes from hitting that pause button and reminding yourself, just you're not going to be perfect, but serve the space that in the time that you get. So,
yeah, do your best, and then that's awesome. So, one final piece of advice for the listener.
I kind of got to go back and repeat myself as an old coach. This is the temple that you get. This is your beautiful machine. You may not think it's beautiful right now because maybe you've disrespected a little bit. As coaches, we need to be graciously direct sometimes. That's what's happening. If you don't like the way you look right now, there's been a little bit of probably disrespecting your beautiful machine. It is still beautiful, I promise you. Make the commitment right now that you are going to start respecting yourself. You are going to start being selfish with your time. You're going to start taking care of yourself, because I promise you, and I speak for every person out there dealing the world's most powerful drug, everybody that pinched their pennies together is to start that brick and mortar. Gyms weren't needed 100 years ago, but now they're needed. It's the ultimate service industry, what we provide for communities now. Say yes to stepping into that class. Say yes to slowly becoming a better version of yourself. I swear to you, this is a non-debatable, every single person in your life will benefit. Yes, you're selfish for 45 minutes today, but it allows you to serve, to then turn and be a better servant leader. You will be, you start looking better physically, but mentally, cognitively, you will start to feel like a champion. Everything improves from A to Z, head to toe, fingernail to toenail. So just make that commitment. Promise Jason and I, you're going to make that commitment to start being a better version of yourself. So I can't, I don't know. I was just kind of improv there. I can't say any better than that, honestly, brother.
It's perfect. It's like put your oxygen mask on first. And I always love, like, it's quite a harsh truth, which is discipline is self-respect. So discipline yourself is self-respect. And I'm a big believer that, hard physical stress makes you more tolerant to all stress. Absolutely all stress. It makes you more patient. It makes you better in every way. You have an argument with your partner. You have a hard day. Go for a run. Do something physical. I always say, don't judge how you feel till you've got your heart rate up. And it's amazing how just raising your heart rate changes your perspective on the day. And it's absolutely key. But honestly, Yancy, that was fantastic. And one thing I do want to say is that pretty much everyone in the fitness industry wants to change lives and wants to be there because they want to help people and improve people. But I can honestly say that you're probably the most, when it comes to wanting to change and benefit and make millions of people happy and healthy, you're probably the most sincere person I've ever met. And I can honestly say that I really believe that, we all like to say, and it sounds great, but, you are truly authentic in that. And I can see that you genuinely, first, it is the every man, the every woman comes first to you, and you're there to be, DEKA is just there to sincerely help people and make them happier, make them healthier, and improve their family life, improve all aspects of life. So honestly, Yancy, you're an absolute inspiration to me. And I'm sure you're an inspiration to everyone you've ever met. I mean, every DEKA affiliate, the amount of people within my organization that have met you, all sing your praises. So well done to you, Yancy. What you've achieved is unbelievable, massive inspiration to me, and I hope that DEKA and Deadly Dozen can work together to make this sport of fitness racing the most amazing sport in the world.
Well, I appreciate that, brother, man. It means the world to me as my team that deals with my wild, crazy ass every day. They call me the Texas Tornado, and in a way, I was blessed with the gift of gab, and I'll jump up on the plow box and shout it from the rooftops. And in a way, I'm trying to always speak for the whole fitness industry when I'm speaking from the heart, because some are just really good coaches or really good owners, and maybe they don't like to jump up on the plow box and shout it from the rooftops. I'm okay with that because it's just who I am, and a lot of coaches are like that. But I tear up almost every day when I think about what's happening inside that little group exercise class and dealing the world's most powerful drug. And I got to say it one more time, man. I want to do it justice. you hit me up. I had no clue you were writing a book, dude. I had no freaking clue. And you hit me up the other day, and you sent it to me, and you asked me to write your foreword. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I went into it thinking, okay, I don't want to just write a foreword. I gotta skim. I gotta take 20 minutes and do some skimming at least. 4 hours later, I was like, I'd found myself, I read for 4 hours, dude. And then I had to go into some skimming, and I spent like another hour truly skimming and hitting high points. And I remember messaging you, and I said, the best thing I could say about this book, and it's in the foreword, is like, this should be required reading. Anybody that's even 1% interested, that's ever been 1% interested in fitness in any way, this has got to be required reading. It took me back to health class, and you go to health class in middle school, and then high school and college. You take anatomy and physiology and all these things, and I'm like, where they missed the mark in all the required reading is like really teaching it from this. You did a great job. It felt like, oh my God, if I had a 7-year-old, a 12-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 25-year-old, and a 50-year-old all reading this book, I felt like almost everybody could understand it. Maybe some of the stuff to go over the 7-year-olds had a little bit, but it felt like it was for such a broad brushstroke group of people, dude. And you did an amazing job educating people, meshing in the power of fitness. Yeah, it's a book about fitness racing, but the bullet points of the power of fitness, taking care of yourself, working in just enough exercise physiology and science. It's sprinkled in there, but it never feels like it's flying over your head. There's probably not, when this book comes out, if I could shout it from the rooftops, I would say to every health teacher and PE coach and mom and dad and the true enthusiasts in fitness, but the really and truly for every strength and conditioning coach taking care of big time programs are exercise physiology departments. I don't care if it could be an exercise physiology class in college and everything in between. It should be required reading, dude. I felt like, and I've never, it pulled me in for 4 straight hours. So, and this is not about tooting your horn. The book's a good book. It's a really good book. And then I found out you've written a lot of books, and I didn't know all that, to be honest. And I didn't go into it thinking I was going to read much of your book the first day, but I dove in, dude, and I enjoyed it, brother.
I didn't expect you to, and yeah, I've wrote quite a lot of books, but they were all manuals, you know, how to squat and how to deadlift, and this was the first true book, which is I wanted it to be every paragraph to make someone want to get off the couch and exercise, and I wanted it to or train, and I wanted it to be history, philosophy, the right sprinkling of exercise physiology, motivation, philosophy, history of fitness racing, where everything's going, where it's come from, right back to ancient Greece, ancient Rome, Japan, everywhere around the world, and sort of talk about rituals, rites of passages, and right the way through to what was, fitness racing in the 80s and the 90s and all this sort of stuff. And I wanted to encapsulate sort of not just fitness racing, but fitness in this one book. And one of the criticisms from publishers, because I am getting it sort of professionally published, I've got an agent to work on that, is that where does it sit on the shelf? Is it a fitness book? Is it a philosophy book? Is it a history book? There's a lot of stoicism in there. It talks about everything, but I wanted it to be a book that anyone could pick up and they get so much more than they expected. And they get a full training manual without it being boring, because it's sprinkled with history, philosophy, anecdotes, and stories and stuff like that. I wanted it to be a real sort of narrative nonfiction where people pick it up and can't put it down, hopefully. And when you sent me, I didn't expect you to read it all. I expected you to sort of flick through and hopefully write a forwards. But when I could clearly see from the forward that you had read the book, it was just I really, really appreciate that. And hopefully I'll get a book deal, and hopefully they'll publish it, sometime next year, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm taking you up on the offer of doing a book tour. So we'll do a book tour together. We'll do a fitness racing tour. But yeah, it's been a labour of love. A lot of time went into the book, and hopefully it does fitness racing justice. And I think I mentioned DEKA about 50 times throughout the book. And obviously mentioned Deadly Dozen, but it's not a book about Deadly Dozen. It's not about my journey in fitness racing. It is about the history of fitness, and it's about the concept of fitness racing, including CrossFit, including triathlons and Ironman and all these different things, but fundamentally looking at what we're trying to create as a sort of niche within the sport, and how we're trying to sort of really raise the bar and get millions and millions of people fitness racing. And I really wanted it to be, you read a page of that book and you're like, right, I need to go exercise, I need to go and train, I need to do so, I need to sign up to a fitness race. And and no, I really appreciate you reading the book and skimming through it, and hopefully I can get it published. And because I don't want to self-publish it, and I want to get through, a proper publisher that does a really good job of it. And hopefully we can use that book as a leverage point to get people doing more DEKAs and more deadly and more fitness races. There's so many fitness races coming through and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, thanks again, Yancy. Like I say, you're one of the most sincere blokes I've ever met. Absolutely hyped, full of energy, but that's the way I like it. And like you say, coaches are different. I've had quiet coaches, but I think in the fitness racing game, it's good. You've got to carry that energy, and I appreciate it. So thank you so much for coming on.
Much love, brother. Appreciate you having me on, my friend.
Cheers, Yancy. Thank you.
Rock and roll.